Well, let's record it from here. Whatever, it's fine. If it falls over, it falls over.
If you have to take the bunny right, there's this little horse over there, Freya. Take a look at the front one. She's like a big puppy. She's adorable. So, right now, a couple more people coming up. Yep. Andrew's almost dressed. Look how nice Andrew looks, even though he didn't tie his hair up.
That's fine. Well, it's also because no, it's not.
There's still people. Oh, they're fixing this. So we're going to be fighting in a little bit. We're doing what's called harness fetching, skirmish. That's kind of what we're into, what we're doing. So you see, my boy here is wearing most of their suit of armor. He does not have complete green. He does not have sabotage, but he does have a nail shirt. He has a arming coat underneath it, a bandit. He has 3/4 legs over here for a really full pieces. Most of the terminology for the armor comes from this middle thing. Why? Because everybody knows what thigh, knee, and shins are, but it sounds cooler if you say it in French.
You've got our friend Andrew here.
But even though this sword isn't sharp, even if it is, if I start hitting it with the edge, it does pop this. Because you can't cut through steel with a sword. No matter how many movies tell you can, it basically does this. And that's it. It makes a loud noise. Because to cut sheet metal, to make this stuff, I gotta have a Beverly shear that gives me about a 2-ton mechanical advantage, and hardened steel, big old thick blades to cut it before it's heat treated. Much less after it's heat treated and really hardened, tempered, and made to be walk proof. The other thing is, once it does get compromised, it gets hit with a backspike or a war hammer, or I can somehow wiggle a hole in, you ditch it. Just like a ballistic vest with a stabbing blade now, once it's compromised, you send it back, you get it repaired and replaced. Because once it's got a hole in it, you don't want it anymore. It's been compromised, so we got to get it fixed, replaced, and repaired. So unless you're actually on the field, or you're super broke and wearing hand-me-downs, you're not wearing a beat-up pile of crap suit of armor. Why? Because you'll die. And the whole point is to not die. If I'm going to be wearing 75 pounds of stuff, it's going to be protecting me, not running around big old rusty gaps in it. Now, how do I defeat this man in armor? So for the most part, if I'm a peasant, I'm going to have a spear, or I'm going to have a cudgel, which the cudgel's over there, which is a big stick with iron nails or lead weights in it. So how am I going to beat that? I'm going to get 8 or 10 of my buddies, we're going to drag him to the ground and stab him in the face. But if I'm not one of those guys, and I'm one of his cousins, because the nobles are all related, cousin, I meet you on the field of battle, let us do fight. Ah ha ha ha, I have found this gap. Would you like to be wounded, or would you like to retire to my estate where we will ransom you to your mother for a great deal of money?
Let's go with that up.
Let's go with ransoming. War for the medieval nobles is basically rich guy tag. For the most part, they're not trying to kill each other. They're trying to acquire wealth and land through their estate of those who fight. And to defeat the suit of armor, whacking it does no good. Taking this very sharp point, which I had to rub a tip on for safety, and wiggling it in where he just has nail to get structure and purchase, and then pushing until it reaches the links is the best way to actually defeat the suit of armor if I can't run him over with a 2,000-pound horse.
And very often, even the nobles who didn't really want, to friendly surrender to each other, they would still find the other nobles that they didn't like, defeat them and go, all right, I'm going to give you a chance to just come home, and then they're like, nah, screw you, and they're like, okay, fine, I guess I'll kill you.
I guess.
And it's like, fine, okay.
Stab him in the face and bring me his armor, I'll sell it back to his family.
And it was also a matter of if you surrendered and then you betrayed your surrender, well then you weren't a nobility.
Then you were a butt.
Exactly.
And Henry V did that at Agincourt. Contrary to what the play says, they killed all the prisoners. They didn't shoot them in the field. You troops. So he said, men kill the prisoners except for the top, 5% most valuable guys. And all his knights went, sir, that is what chivalry. So he went, hey, Welsh guys, want to stab some people? And they went, yeah! And they went and stabbed them in the face because they were all still in armor. So, yeah, that's pretty horrible. So when he murdered all the prisoners, the French went, sacré bleu, that is terrible. We should surrender to him immediately and let marry our princess. No, it makes no sense to me either. But her dad was insane and thought he was made out of glass. So, it's all true. Game of Thrones got nothing on real life. So, what we're looking for is with the tip of the sword, you get structure and purchase in a place that has just mail or a stripe where there's no armor at all, just fabric or leather. With the hammer, if I can bonk him in the noggin or the face, or debilitating shot to a joint, because I want to cave in that armor on top of his bony protrusions, or someplace that he can't fight me anymore. And with the mace, I'm just going to wail on him. Now what's really vicious is the rondel dagger. If we come to grip, I can get this little, basically it's an ice pick locked into my gauntlet, and I just start stabbing in places that he has less armor until the not fun to get stabbed. It is not. The other way we can get a victory is if we're in here and we're fighting, and we're grabbing and we're up, and we can upset. He doesn't want to get thrown to the ground, so he yells set. He knows he's going over, and I'll try to keep him throwing him. Or if he doesn't yell set, then just bury him to the ground. Would you like to yield, my boy?
Yeah, that sounds nice.
So, you can throw him to the ground, and as long as you don't go to the ground with him, you're okay. If both go to the ground, occasionally it turns into two guys in tin cans rolling around punching each other. Punches and kicks are great. They don't do squat. It's just annoy people. It's mostly really loud. With a gauntlet or a buckler.
Getting a mace to the head really rings a bell.
Even if it is a rubber mace, because it's a mass weapon. A rubber mace is still a mace. It just doesn't actually crack open.
Yeah, if I offer more to a puncher and the tips of a big rubber cane tip on him, you can't really blunt a hammer because it's still a hammer.
It's still a mace.
So we just use different material. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's what he's here for.
Free labor and bullying.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say.
Okay. What? Sure, I'm about half deaf. I work at a gun range. Those are Bethues. So, by the time we're wearing this kit, the shield has largely been abandoned. It's still used on horseback, and it might still be just got off your horse and face catching arrows and spears or something like that, the projectile weapons. But these little Bethues in here give him a point that it makes it much harder for me to stab him in that offset. Because those type horses get that brachial artery inside their chest. Trying to get a point in here, and that bicep into that artery. I get in here and get that brachial artery, you can die. So that little extra depth is like carrying a tiny shield that covers your armpit. It does not keep the smell in. So I keep moving this way. So yeah, this will fit you. And is that the correct pronunciation? Maybe. I've heard about 8 of them from various reputable historians. Most of the kit we're wearing is from the late 14th, very early 15th century. So think maybe after Edward the Black Prince died, but before Agincourt. So late 1370s, early 1400s. Andrew's got a kind of a German flat visor on. He's got finger gauntlets. You see a lot of finger gauntlets in the 14th century with this kind of universal bell cuff. It gives you lots of wrist movement. But if you're on horseback, your arm only moves so far, and it's hard to break your wrist hitting somebody on the ground with a sword. Robert Bruce killed Percy with the battle-axe, knocked him in the noggin, broke his arm doing it. Yeah, because he only was wearing his mail shirt and his helmet. So if he had that reinforcement, he might not have broke his arm. And if you've got 4 legs on, you've got fitting in clothes for each, I have 3 quarters. We're all wearing, you can see in the shoes, we're wearing medieval low boots. I was trying to think of the actual historical. I love you. We both got ribbons. Do it anyway. You see a lot of costume legs made out of rubber metal. They're just twisted together and held together into pieces of metal. That is the metal wasn't made that way. It's alternating solid and good. So another set of, basically it's 4 riveted links to a solid link, makes the mill much, much stronger. You can also make it much, much thinner so it doesn't weigh as much. Yours weighs what, 35-ish pounds?
It's heavier than all of our armor combined.
Yeah. So the male is at least 50% of the armor's weight. It does also cover every place you can't put plate. Because if you don't have anything there, you get opened up really, really fast. And we don't want that. You also
Ask me when I didn't have the mail. Every bout we had, I could not win.
You could not
because
win.
He would put me in the arm or on my thigh.
and you get that fast moving point at the end of the sword. It's very sharp, and it's going through whatever it is. We had a pig carcass at one of the events, and I took one of my swords and I kind of just went, okay, I'm going to give it a hit. And oh, we went all the way through that. And it was an Albion, so they're made in Duglaris. They're actually very, very good swords. Don't need to, they're in that general area. They're very quasi-military company, so it's very, very good, very, very accurate historical reproduction. And it cut that pig in half like it wasn't there. I heard a little click and it moved his spine and shoulder. And then we ate the rest of it. It was great. You see this aventail hangs off of his helmet, connected to the neck, his clavicle, all this open part up here. I've got a gorget on, which is made out of multiple plates riveted to the side. That also protects up here, protects kind of my upper back, up around my shoulders. I've got kidney plates that wrap around and cover the back. We both have on a very similar breastplate. This is Logan's breastplate, based on the one in the Trevor Museum in France, number 14. And also over there, silver armor is very, very similar. All the armor is 86 spring steel or 4130 hardened steel, so it's very thin, relatively speaking. Some of it's extended 22 gauge, but it still hold up to the hip with the heat. The horse who loves it. We're wearing skirt coats, linen. Mine's linen and silk. I think his is linen. I know Diffler's linen. It basically lets you see whose team you're on, and you can tell it's like a jersey. So if you see a guy running around, especially with the lower ranking people, they would have on their national badge. They might have a big red cross of St. George, or a blue and white cross of St. Andrew, or the arms of Florence. So you can tell that he's from Florence. So if I'm from Verona, I know everybody wearing that needs to get stuck with something or knocked in the head. I'm wearing mine. This is based loosely off of a whole bunch of different Northumbria, York, Scotland. You see, or southern Scotland, you see a whole lot of rampant lions because they're all descended from the same 3 Norman nobles that came up there. So you see the ubiquitous rampant lion on the Percys, on the Hotspurs, on the Bruces, with the Bruce, folks, Frankie's whole life. Who else am I thinking of? George Felbridge, Sir George Felbridge, Sir Ralph Neville. There's all these effigies, and they all got a big rampant lion on a different background. Red and white stripes, red, yellow, whichever. Sometimes the lion's gold, sometimes it's blue. So I kind